Hello and welcome back to this week's edition of the Snakebite. We missed you last week and you guys missed a lot of huge moments in Florida Southern sports. Arguably the best 2-week stretch we've seen all year long. Started on the hardwood, went to the clay, and of course staying in the pool as well with the national championships rolling around right now. But first, let's roll the intro. All hail Florida Southern women's basketball. The ladies have officially made the national tournament for the first time in 4 years, the first time ever in the Megan 𝙃𝙀 era. So much history has been made that we're going to have to run through this segment to try to match their historic run through the record books and conference over the last 2 weeks. So let's start with senior night, where the seniors aptly shined. Specifically, Sydney Gomes led the way through the first 3 quarters. Who would have guessed it? Against number 9 Nova Southeastern Sharks. But once the second half came around, so did the Lily Rangard show. Rangard absolutely dominated. There are truly no words to describe the impact that she had in this game and over the postseason to this point. She dropped 28 points and 14 rebounds on 10 for 16 shooting, all of those career highs, with the Mocs ultimately winning against the ranked team, number 9 in the country, thanks to 90 points, the second most ever scored against a ranked opponent and the most in 20 years. The ladies then took on their arch rivals, the University of Tampa Spartans, in what will be remembered for years as one of the best games in program history on the men's or women's side. The Spartans hounded the Mocs leader and Sunshine State Conference Player of the Year, Sydney Gomes, holding her and the Mocs to just 18 first-half points, by far the fewest all year. And the third quarter saw a big change for Florida Southern. Lily Rangard. She came alive again, hitting unimaginable shots to score the biggest 14 points in a long, long time.
Alistair with it. Mocs got to get it off. Rangard deep three. Got it! Holy cow! Lily Rangard!
Mocs won it, 52-50. Let's hear how the Mocs felt after this one.
28 points in the last game, but that three was the biggest shot I've ever seen you take and make here at Florida Southern. What was going through your head?
I just didn't want to go home. It's too early yet. We didn't want to be done.
And Nia is arguably the player of the game for this one, the best defensive player, and made some huge stops for you guys. Talk about her impact.
We knew we needed a big game from her. Her knee's been kind of hurting, and we needed her to push through. She played great defense and got great rebounds for us.
Thank you, guys. You guys advanced for the first time in 4 years.
I know it's been a lot of women's basketball, but this is historic stuff, and we are just getting started. The Mocs had 2 All-SSC team players, first time under Coach 𝙃𝙀, with Carlota Gomez-Alonso finding her way on the 3rd team to pair with the previously mentioned Player of the Year, Sydney Gomes. She's the first player to do so for women's basketball in 7 years, the last time the Mocs made the regional final. Not saying it's going to happen, but she's also first team All-Region already. And the Mocs continue to roll thanks to her and the rest of the seniors with their show in Eckerd. The Mocs took on the Eckerd College Tritons in the semifinal of the conference championships, where Monica Ballester also joined in on the fun with Rangard and Gomes, as Ballester went 5 for 5 in the first half, closing it with an incredible half-court heave that was nothing but net. The Mocs then had a chance to get another win against a now top 15 ranked Nova Southeastern team in Fort Lauderdale, but it just wasn't their day. Huge shots were hit by McCann of Nova, who dropped a career-high 31, plus some very, very questionable no calls going against the Mocs. I am a little bit biased. I was there, who fell in the conference championship game. But don't fret, the ladies will be back in action today against the number 2 seeded and Gulf South Conference champions, Union Bulldogs, where they will look to make a run in the tourney. They're my Elite 8 team.
The men's basketball team is going dancing for the 3rd year in a row, and for the 2nd year in a row, they will be taking on the Montevallo Falcons in the opening round of the regional tournament. The Mocs have had an up and down last 2 weeks as they ended their regular season with a matchup against the number 1 Nova Southeastern Sharks, who spoiled the Mocs celebration. Despite the loss, the Mocs hosted a back-and-forth game in the conference tournament against the Embry-Riddle Eagles, who gave the Mocs a real run for their money. But the star power of Florida Southern prevailed. Charlie Dalton, who's not necessarily known for his scoring, had another unforgettable game, scoring 34 points against the Eagles. Dalton was the first Moc since some random guy named Jaden Booth to eclipse the 30-point mark, and he couldn't have done it in a more crucial spot. Dalton lit it up, setting his career high in points thanks to lights-out shooting from the perimeter and strong passing from Jasir Tremble and Amir Ramadan. Charlie and crew were ecstatic after the win.
So Charlie, here, let me get this on right. Smells a little funny, but it smells like 34 points, the most scored since a guy called Jaden Booth. What is it like to score a game like that in the conference quarterfinals?
Man, I don't really see myself as a scorer, but today it felt good. My teammates trust me all season. They've done the dirty work all season. I just play hard, and today it paid off, so we're ready to go get, use my language, we're ready to go get another one. We're going to go get another one. Yeah.
And Charlie, you guys are about to make the trip to West Palm. Looking forward to that one. Time to bounce back. Let's get ready for that.
Yeah. It's one game at a time, tournament time, anything can happen. So it's not only one game at a time, but one possession at a time, and we'll be ready to go get one.
Thank you, Charlie. Back to you, Jim.
And Asher, it wasn't just the Charlie Dalton show, 34 points for him, but Amari Miller, he leads the team in points, rebounds, and blocks. And he's got a number of awards, but All-Region was the most recent one. All-Region second team. But the Mocs still had to take care of business before he got those awards.
Yes. The Mocs then made the trip to PBA, where they battled back through the game thanks to big makes from three by Brady Corso and strong rebounding by Amari Miller, the two Mocs to make All-SSC teams. Miller was the lone Moc on the first team, with Corso filing into the third team. And despite their hardware, the Mocs couldn't hold on to the final whistle, falling 82-77. They will be right back in the national tournament tomorrow night in their matchup against Montevallo, who the Mocs narrowly beat last year.
Florida Southern softball is unbeaten through their last 4 games and 5-1 through their last 6, something we haven't been able to say in more than half a decade. The young, scrappy, and hungry Mocs team feels like they're turning the corner on their season thanks to much improved offense, but even better pitching. Over spring break, the Mocs stumbled to start as they got swept by Florida Tech in Melbourne before coming back home and getting swept again by Lander. However, let's not get stuck on that. The Mocs took on Adelphi next, where they looked like the Florida Southern program that once upon a time struck fear in every opponent they faced. Against Adelphi, we saw the pitching find real rhythm, with 𝙏𝙃𝙀 finding her best game since her collegiate debut, dealing 8 punch-outs to the visitors from New York to lead the Mocs to a 3-1 win. The next game against Adelphi saw a great start by the Mocs pitching staff, but a colossal collapse as they let up 5 runs in the 7th to lose 6-7. It wasn't all bad though, with freshman Hannah Lewis going 5 for 5. That has only been done 4 times in a 7-inning game, 5 times overall, and 1 other time by a freshman in school history. The last freshman to do so was Shelly Davis in the Mocs' 1993 National Championship season. And if you haven't been brushing up on the softball record book, Davis ended up being pretty good. She's just the all-time leader in hits with 298. And okay, I'll get back on track. You know I love my stats, but I also love the Mocs winning. And they followed it up with another win, sweeping Wheeling, starting it off though with a 9-2 win, their biggest win in over a year. Then they found a shutout right after, courtesy of Natalie Snowden. The Mocs then had one final doubleheader against Southwest Minnesota State, who the Mocs hadn't swept since 2017. And that's exactly what they did. They swept the Mustangs, and they did more than just sweep them. They dominated them, specifically from the circle. In both matchups, the Mustangs scored as many runs as Asher and I. 0. This is the first time since February of 2016, that's pretty historic, that the ladies got 3 straight shutouts. And they'll be right back to it tonight for the breast cancer awareness games tonight against Barry, where they will look for their first conference win and series win of the season.
After starting the baseball season in a bit of a rocky fashion, the Mocs seemed to find their footing, winning 8 straight games over the spring break. It started with a series sweep against the Florida Tech Panthers, which was fireworks city, with the first 2 affairs ending in walk-off fashion. Game 1 saw a 3-2 score from the end of the 5th inning all the way until the bottom of the 9th, and that's when the team rallied. A single from pinch hitter Will Burke and an intentional walk brought up Eric Harrison Jr., and at the plate, he doubled to drive in a run to tie the affair. And that tie wouldn't stay a tie for long, because Carson Brady singled to put the nail in the coffin and give the Mocs a 4-3 win. Game 2 was even more electric, as the Mocs were down by 4 runs heading into the bottom of the 9th. That is until Mikey Scott's game-tying grand slam. After the bases cleared, the bats of Florida Southern quickly loaded up the bases again, and Corey Philly walked it off via a single. The results of the series granted Mikey Scott as the SSC Baseball Player of the Week, and he certainly deserved it, batting .538 with 7 RBIs. That series was followed by a 15-1 crushing of Roosevelt University, another series sweep against Northwood University, and an away win against Flagler College. In the series against Northwood, the Mocs once again walked off in the bottom of the 13th inning due to a collaborative effort of Scott's bat and a knack for stealing, as well as Ethan Berthart, who continued to single and bring Scott in. Speaking of Mikey Scott and stealing, he's got 15 on the season with 27 games left, but there's not really that much of a chance for last year's success, so it's going to be pretty hard to match that. And I can't forget to mention the pitching staff either, because they've also been playing lights out. Standout starter Sachin Ramos has a whip of .88, and for those that don't know, anything under 1 is considered elite. He is dealing. He's got 43 strikeouts in his 35 1/3 innings pitched. Additionally, Heath Clevenger, a premier bullpen guy, has an ERA of .87 in 10 1/3 innings, as well as a win to his name. The Red Hot Mocs will be away for a series against the division rival Barry Buccaneers starting tonight at 6 p.m.
Number 2 women's lacrosse has been busy over spring break, and following the last show, the Mocs fell for the first time all season to the now number 1 team in the country in Flagler College. The Mocs offense struggled despite draw control dominance by Colby Cohen, scoring just 3 goals in the second half as they fell 13-7. The Mocs then looked to bounce back, and did, when they faced number 15 Regis University at home, who they dominated with 11 Mocs finding a goal and 5 finding multiple. Colby Cohen continued her dominance in the faceoff, finding a career-high 12 draw controls after picking up 11 against Flagler. The final matchup of the break for the Mocs was easy. It was senior day against Lander, formerly ranked, no longer ranked, and definitely not after Colby Cohen continued to shine, posting 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 draw controls, 2 caused turnovers. Do I need to say any more? So the only thing you can say about her is, what can't she do? Cohen secured SSC Defensive Player of the Week honors after getting National Defensive Player of the Week honors earlier this year, and she and the Mocs return to Barronfield this Saturday to take on Lenore Ryan, celebrating the 10th anniversary of the 20.
Like Carl mentioned at the top, the Mocs have dominated on the courts, with Mocs tennis going 10-0 since the last show. The number 9 men's tennis team opened up their competitions at the USTA campus, where they easily took care of unranked Davenport before returning home to take on one more unranked opponent in SNHU, who they demolished 7-0. Then the real spring break schedule began, with the men taking on 3 straight ranked opponents, starting off with the number 8 Washburn, who the Mocs defeated 4-2 thanks to strong doubles and singles play. The singles play included unranked Matthew Hewitt upsetting the number 11 singles player in the nation. The Mocs then found 2 more wins against number 21 Ferris State and number 29 Grand Valley State. And the ladies, they stayed just as busy, starting in Hilton Head, South Carolina, where the Mocs took care of business against St. Francis, Tiffin, and Assumption. Once the ladies returned home, so did the tough competition, as the number 23 women's team beat number 28 Ferris State 4-3, thanks to the Mocs sweeping doubles play. The ladies then closed out the stretch at the time number 16 Grand Valley State, who they beat 5-2. Both teams are gearing up for another stretch of matches, starting off against Jefferson and Tuskegee during our production time, with Jefferson ranked number 16 on the women's side.
The number 4 team in the country has a new number 1 after yet another slate of competitions where the Mocs continued to flex their muscles as not just one of the best golf programs historically, but also one of the best in this current moment. In their first competition of the break, the Mocs got to preview the national championship course at the Las Vegas Desert Classic. And just FYI, if you're in Vegas at the same time as this team, go all in on red. Trust me. The Mocs started the competition off red hot, going just 1 over after the first day of the competition, putting them and their leader, Max Burrell, first overall. Burrell led the Mocs all the way, shooting 14 under, 8 strokes better than second place, to secure his first ever collegiate win. The rest of the Mocs battled, and despite some hiccups, they ultimately finished 4th overall out of 20 teams. The Mocs then took a trip to Valdosta, Georgia, where they struggled, finishing 5th behind number 2 West Florida and 3 other top 20 teams. And don't worry, they'll be right back and ready to bounce back, at the Shark Invitational at Nova Southeastern the 23rd and 24th. There's a whole lot of season left.
On the women's side of golf, they placed 5th at the Buccaneer Invitational, with Kaylee Amuso leading the Mocs at +7 overall, shooting a career low of 68 in the final round. Claire Gimple, McKinley Holding, Ava LaBelle, and Darby Hancock, who competed as an individual, all finished tied 13th with a 3-round score of 9 over par. The women will now look to compete in the Peggy Kirk Bell Invitational starting on Monday.
The men's lacrosse team captured their first win of the season against the Adams State Grizzlies over spring break. Max Walton and Angus Walco led the offensive charge for the Mocs, accounting for 11 of the team's 20 goals in the 20-7 win. Jacob Chiz dominated, winning 23 of 24 draw controls in the matchup, and then the Mocs got right back to ranked play. They matched up against the number 11 team in the country in Colorado Mesa, which turned out to be a must-watch game. The Mocs came out firing, outscoring the Mavericks 3-1. However, as the game went on, both teams traded goals and were tied at the end of regulation. The Mavericks were able to score first in OT and secure the win, but Jacob Chiz's stellar play in both matchups earned him SSC Specialist of the Week, just call it the Jacob Chiz Award, and named him to the USILA Division II Team of the Week. The men will return to action next Saturday, taking on number 2 ranked University of Tampa.
The Sandy Mocs have entered a bit of a rough patch as they suffered their first loss since February 14th over the break. The Mocs were scheduled to play 5 games over spring break. However, the game against St. Leo was postponed due to inclement weather, and the other 2 against Ave Maria and Barry University were canceled. In the 2 games they played against Palm Beach State College, they fell 2-3. And the loss was absolutely not a crushing defeat, as the girls often fought valiantly to send the matches into a 3rd set. Specifically, in the 2nd game against PBSC, 4 out of the 5 games went to a 3rd set. After losses, they came back to Lakeland and dominated the Emmanuel University Lions, sending them packing with a clean 5-match sweep. Contrary to the 2nd game against PBSC, no 5th set was needed in any of those matches against the Lions. In the final game on Wednesday, the Sandy Mocs fell to Barry College, not to be confused by Barry University, by a score of 2-3. They'll now look ahead to play a stint in St. Petersburg against Emmanuel, Erskine, and Catawba College starting this morning. And also, we have swim starting. The national championship is headed on. And Carl, what can you say about the news recently about the women's track coach?
Yeah, Coach Steph, she was a multiple-time All-American with Adams State in her collegiate career, and now she is onto a different place as a college coach. She started her coaching career at the collegiate level here at Florida Southern. Her husband, Matt Levasseur, of men's cross country and track as well. Coach Steph, she's coached a number of really excellent athletes throughout her time here and built up a lot of athletes like Emma Musante and Grace Reed, who have really rewritten those record books. And she's now heading over to Florida Polytechnic as she's looking to start that track and cross country program there, both for the men's and women's teams. Best of luck to Coach Steph, and looking forward to seeing what the rest of the Mocs have for the rest of this year. It's been a great 2 weeks. Let's keep it rolling.